Okay, so I just tried to do a live and on TikTok and on Instagram, and it turns out that you need 1,000 followers. Uh, Seems a bit discriminatory to me. That's a bit prejudice, but good news, only 955 followers to go. So one day soon, maybe I will, in a few years, I'll have enough followers to be able to do a live. Anyhow, the reason why I wanted to do a live is because um, I was watching a dating show again, and Perfect Match was the name of the show, and it's pretty ridiculous in principle. It's not a realistic way to develop a relationship. It's a bit of a shambles. Like you get thrown into different situations with a lot of different you know guys and girls, and then you get taken out and put in other situations, and so it's manipulated. So it's the whole context is a bit ridiculous and not modeling life. So um, not very realistic. But anyway, you can still draw lessons out of it. And so I was watching it, um, and I thought a live would be a really good idea for this topic because it just struck me in the moment um, when I saw one guy. So he was being kind of interrogated by one of the chicks there who he'd had a previous interaction with, and he was he went on a date with her, I think. His name's Jimmy. I don't even know what season it is or anything. Jimmy and this Mexican chick. Good description. Um, and she was questioning him about what happened because they were on a date and they were getting along really well, and he was kind of seeing another person at the time, but he was kind of talking to this girl and letting her know that he was interested in her, and they were having a really good time, and they were saying they like each other and all this sort of stuff. And they got back to the house, and he chose the other girl, and she felt blindsided by it. And so she was kind of saying to him, uh, "Were you just playing me the whole time? Like, why didn't you just tell me you didn't like me?" And the mistake that she's making in this particular situation is that she thinks she's going to get an honest answer. Um, Now, in my opinion, what happened previously was he actually got manipulated into pairing, like coupling, matching. That's what the show's called. Um, you have to match at certain times. You have to match with someone, and if you don't get a match, like there's a different number of guys and girls, and the leftover people kind of get kicked off. They do come back most of the time anyway, but that's the kind of structure of the show, which means that people don't want to get kicked off, so they, you know, manipulate the situation so they can stay on the show. It's a little bit like maths in a way, but anyway, his girlfriend-ish, she clearly doesn't like him. She's not interested in him at all, really. She seems pretty disinterested, but it's this kind of safe coupling for her, I suppose. And uh, she kind of manipulated this guy into matching with her. Seemed pretty sneaky the way she did it. Um, but that's what happened. They matched. And then this other girl who he seemed to have like a genuine connection with got blindsided, and she got hurt by the situation, which is okay, fair enough. You're on a dating show. So, I mean, I can't imagine you'd be taking it too seriously anyway, but there you go. It's a real life situation where human beings, she got hurt by it because she felt blindsided, and she questioned him. She said, um, were you lying to me? Why don't you just tell me the truth? And the truth was, he actually did like her. This is my interpretation. The truth was that he did like her, but he kind of got bamboozled by this other chick who's quite manipulative, and um, and so in that situation, I mean, the truth might be something like he was, I don't know, couldn't stand up to her maybe, or was weak in the situation. And so because of his own cowardice to say no, or because of his own weakness, uh, or because of his own susceptibility to manipulation, his own gullibility, he said yes to this girl who's kind of a bitch and and doesn't treat him very well. And I mean, even if he's aware of that, he's probably not going to say it. And this is a problem, like in therapy as well, that I see a lot is that uh, the truth is kind of ugly. And so even if we understand it ourselves, the likelihood of speaking it out loud, especially when it's like gross and paints us in a bad light, according to the false moral narratives of the culture of the day. Um, So people aren't going to say those things out loud. You would have to get a very well balanced, strong, self confident individual to actually call out their own shit and say, yeah, it does happen to some extent, but to call out your own shit and say, okay, um, this was, a point of weakness. Like, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Uh, and I could see this Mexican girl. I hope she's Mexican. Mexican looking woman. Um, she, um, she was questioning him, and then she didn't believe him, and then she was making it about her. And in a lot of these dating shows, that's what happens is in dating in real life. That's what happens. Like the person pulls away. Um, it doesn't go well. There's something goes wrong, and they make it about themselves. So we write a story, we take this peripheral data, we'll take the things that we've been told by these people, and we'll weave it into our own narrative of our own wounding story that we've already had previously. So we have like a framework of what our worldviews are and our poor me stories from yesterday, and we'll weave these things that are happening in the current moment back into those stories so we can keep running the same pattern. So it's something like that. And so I could see her kind of making it about herself when it's really only had to do with him making a poor decision because he was weak in a situation where he kind of got manipulated. It it could be that. I think it's that. It could be a number of other things, and it could be a complex of a few different things at the same time. Um, but the point of the story here, I think the takeaway is she took what he said at face value. So she's having a discussion, and she ends up just being like kind of confused, bit bamboozled, doesn't get any answer, any constructive answer, because it's not the truth. And then she walks away and she gets angry, and then makes a story about uh, um, as it being about herself, and it's got nothing to do with her. And that is what we do. That is what we have a tendency to do. We make things about ourselves that have nothing to do with us. And a lot of the time, we have no clue. There can be all sorts of reasons for these decisions. So we don't actually know what's going on. The other person probably doesn't know their own decision-making process, especially in these shows where you got, nufties in there who've got no clue, their subconscious working. Like they're not going to know why they make a decision. Most people aren't going to know why they make a decision. So it takes a lot to even get to the place to where you can understand it and know what your workings are, let alone understand it, identify it, and then be able to communicate that effectively and communicate that effectively in a situation where it makes you look bad, makes you look like a coward, makes you look like an idiot, and you just hold that up for the world to see on camera as well, on national television, international television, you're gonna, front as that. But I think we don't even know to begin with. A lot of the time, these people don't know. Um, and if they do have an inkling, they're not going to say it. They're not going to say it, which means we have to have the discernment to be able to, decipher the truth in actions, in other ways, to look at the situation and say, what is going on here? Use our intuition, use our logic as well. Like, look at the situation. What is happening? And don't get sucked in to the words, like follow the actions. That's the truth. That's where the story lies. And we can get it wrong, and we can make assumptions and we can make mistakes. But I mean, the biggest mistake is just blindly believing what people tell us. Now, if there's a difference between what we're being told and what we're seeing, there's a contradiction there, then there's something wrong with the words, usually. So the takeaway is we shouldn't believe what other people tell us in those circumstances. And more importantly, the closure has to come from our end, has to come from our side.